Hi guys, it's Kerri-Ann and I'm here today to tell you a little bit about how I'm preparing for the Devon Open Studios. So the Devon Open Studios this year, it will be my second year taking part, and I am doing it alone this year for the first time. So last year we did it in my studio and gallery space, but I shared it with another Devon artist, and this year I've decided to use the whole space to showcase my artwork and see how it goes. I'm really pleased that this year we're not the only space in Seaton taking part as well. There's actually going to be two other venues, one which will have 4 artists and one which is a home studio for another lady. There was going to be another venue which had another 4 or 6 artists in Seaton as well, but I think that in the situation that everything happened, they decided not to go ahead this year, but hopefully they'll still go ahead next year. So I just thought I'd do this little video just to explain a little bit about how I'm preparing for the Devon Open Studios, just to give you a few ideas on how to prepare if it's your first time, or if it's something you've done before. These might be a few new things that you could consider. So one of the first things to think about is how you're going to lay out your studio. Obviously you've already, by this point you would have already submitted the times that you're opening, if you're doing any workshops, the photo that's going to represent you in the brochure. Now this year will be the first year I think that we're having an online brochure, not a physical one, which is really disappointing, but with everything going on with the current situation, obviously the pandemic and everything, I think I can understand why. It does mean that obviously the cost that we paid up front at the beginning of the year, I do feel like obviously we spent a lot of money and we're not getting a physical booklet. So a few people have spoken to me about that, and I'm hoping that, you know, they'll do enough advertising to make up for that shortfall, the fact that there's no physical booklet. So I'm sure the Devon Artists Network people, those that are involved in all of that will do their very best to promote us and everything. So so all those stages will be done. So now it's the sort of the stages where you start to think about laying out your studio, how we're going to make it COVID safe as well. So making sure that it's well ventilated, making sure there's signs for people to understand how you want them to come in, how many people you're having in at a time, that sort of thing. I'm very lucky. My studio here in Seaton is actually adjoined to my shop. So a lot of procedures are already in place. I have moved things around to make it easier to come out through, and I've got obviously the garden right next to me, so I'm going to open up the doors wide, plenty of ventilation and have plenty of space and everything. Obviously giving the studio a big tidy to make it presentable, but I'm not going to over tidy it. I'm actually going to leave it in a way on the desk of how it would be when I'm working, because I will actually work throughout the Devon Open Studios event days as well. So I'll probably be out here painting, and so I want people to see what it's like to be in the studio whilst I'm painting. And then if you're doing Devon Open Studios to try and sell your work, it's also important to start to think about how you're going to sell your work. Are you going to sell your works as originals, as prints? Are you going to mount them? Are you going to frame them? Costs involved in framing, you could either go for generic frames that you can get from shops, or you're going to use a framers. So I've done a mixture this year. For the first ever time, I've actually contacted a local framers and I've had some work professionally framed, which is much more expensive, but I want to see if that gives a better overall finish for some of my work. So the work that I'm most proud of are the pieces that I'm actually getting framed. The chap that I've chosen is a local chap, and he did a very reasonable price, Gladstone Framings. I'm really, really pleased, and he's really supportive and everything. So he's done a fantastic price. Obviously it's more expensive than generic frames, but that's because he's custom building all of the frames, the mounts, everything for me. So I'm really excited to get those back. The other thing is thinking about if you're going to do cards, so card prints of your artwork. Now, this is something I would highly recommend for anyone that is actually doing this to make money or to try and sell their work, because actually card prints were one of the most popular things last year for me and the other lady that was, so it's getting really bright so I'm squinting, for the other lady that was here in the studio. So for cards, I use Love from the Artist to print mine, and I actually do 2 different sizes. So this is a standard size, and this is what they call the notelet size. So it's the same design that I've done here, but 2 different sizes. So this one here I actually sell for £2 a card, or 3 for £5, and this one is £1 £3.50 per card or 3 for £3.50. I think I've remembered that right. So they've got a choice of which size they want to go for, and there's deals on both as well. So I do that during the Devon Open Studios, and throughout the year I also do that here in the art gallery space and art shop that I've got. Other things that I also do, I like to paint bookmarks. So I paint bookmarks, and I actually have these bookmark sleeves that you put them in. So I hand paint the watercolour bookmarks and put them in sleeves, and they sold well this year, throughout the year, and last year at the Devon Open Studios. So another thing I've seen people doing are little tags, so selling little complete tags and things like that. There's lots of different things that you can consider creating that are small pieces of your artwork, so that if people can't invest in a large piece of your artwork, your original or printed or mounted, that the smaller things like the cards and the bookmarks and the tags they might be able to invest in. So that's something to consider if you're one of those who are doing this to try and raise some money to support your art career. Obviously there are those that are doing it for exposure as well, so things to think of in that sense is to make sure you've got plenty of business cards. You can print them at home, or you can send off and have them printed for you, or flyers, anything that's got all of your contact information, your social media pages, your telephone numbers, your email addresses, all of that sort of information. Some people will be doing Devon Open Studios to promote their workshops and their teaching. So another good thing to have then would be printouts of your up and coming workshops for the rest of the year. Obviously making sure you're letting people know that you're going to be COVID safe and how you're going to do them and things like that. So it's really important to think about all those things, because obviously now it's July and it's going to be September very soon, so you want to get moving and get everything organised as well. So one other thing I would highly recommend is looking at who else is going to be doing Devon Open Studios in your area, and contacting them, get to know them, see if you can pull together and maybe build a advertising regime where you can support each other, showcase each other online, maybe print a flyer out and get that sent around your community, your area. Reaching out to your community is a great way of getting the ball rolling in terms of advertising, because your community are usually the ones that will support you the most and help spread the word. So if you can reach out to local artists who can work together with you on that, it helps to keep the costs low, and it sort of helps to spread the word. So I think that's most of the ideas that I wanted to share with you about preparing for Devon Open Studios events. I'm really excited and looking forward to taking part this year, so 2020 being my second year but my first time on my own, and I really hope to see lots of you come to visit me in my studio here in Seaton in Devon. So you'll find me at 30 Queen Street in Seaton, so you're looking for the shop front of Devon Art Supplies, which is a black painted shop front with a lovely wooden flower bed outside the front that we had done this year, so it's all been done up nice, ready for you to come and visit. And then just head through the shop, through all the lovely art supplies, head through and you'll start to see a big display of my artwork as you head towards my studio and out into the garden, and you'll see me out here painting hopefully. Well, thanks for watching everyone, have a great day, bye.